you guys. Welcome to Gem Voice Studio, and I want to talk today a little bit of a scale of consciousness as I learned from David Hawkins MD. He's a medical doctor turned spiritual teacher. May he rest in peace. And I've learned so much from him, but through the book Letting Go, I was introduced to the scale of consciousness. And the lower realms, it goes from hellish realms, to be honest, hell on earth, a hell consciousness of mind, into purgatory realms, which are kind of, there's a lot of bad and there's some good. It's kind of a mix. Mostly bad, but definitely some good things can happen in purgatory as well. Moving up into what I call heavenly realms, which is when things start to really work for you. Things start to really flow. You start to see success. You start to see ease, flow, and your manifestations coming in. And then the tip top of the consciousness scale is love, peace, and joy. It's actually what we come from. It's actually what we are. The entire world is enveloped in love and made of love. But in this earthly experience of contrast, black and white, up and down, good and bad, we experience darkness and light. But it's been my experience, and I think I agree with the scale of consciousness. It's been my experience that I'm love and I come from love. And so, that's the tip top of the scale of consciousness. And I will put a link in the description box below so you guys can check out the scale of consciousness and what it looks like. But the bottom rungs of the scale of consciousness, the hellish realms, hell on earth really, consist of shame, guilt, apathy or hopelessness, grief, and then fear. When you get to fear is a very painful emotion. It's really, really hard to cope with. It's something that we all want to run from and hide from, but eventually in life you learn you have to face fear. But fear is actually segueing you up into purgatory. So I found that fear is actually a good thing if I can sit with it and be with it and allow it to pass through. And then I move up into purgatory realms, which are fear and lack desire, moving up into anger and jealousy and rage, anger essentially, up into pride and courage. And when you get to pride and courage, you're actually starting to segue up into heavenly realms. Okay, heavenly realms are willingness, acceptance, reasonableness, flow, ease, sort of a light and gentle happiness. Like once you can get up past pride and courage, you will find yourself in heavenly realms. And as I said before, up at the tip top is love, peace, and joy. What we come from, what we really truly are behind this illusion and this game and this show and this matrix that we're in. So from a creative's perspective, whether you write music, you sing music, you're an actress, you're a model, whatever it might be, you can imagine that a artist would have to tap into all of these emotions. You wouldn't just only be willing, accepting, and flowing in heavenly realms. It would make sense that there would be some of your art that would be born of grief and shame and guilt. And some of the best music of all time, one of my favorite artists, Mariah Carey, a lot of her music is born of a lot of dark, painful emotions and then emerging into the light. One of my favorite songs by her, Can't Take That Away. They can say anything they want to say, try to bring me down, but they will not allow anyone to succeed, hanging clouds over me. Anyway, so then she goes into parts of the music that are like, talking about how they can't take that light away from her. She has this light that shines in her. You can't take it away. But I think what makes the song so fucking great is the fact that it touches a depth and a height of emotion. All of it. And so, probably, most likely, your favorite songs and probably your favorite artists There's a complexity of emotion to it. Oh, nothing wrong with a song that's just all good vibes and all happy, such as Pharrell's Happy and, you know, other just upbeat, fun, dancing type of songs. That's great. But probably a lot of them, if not most of the songs that you remember the most, tap into hellish, dark, hell on earth, purgatory realms of consciousness. And so the truth of the matter is, I think, when it comes to being an artist, people are paid in their art for their vulnerability and honesty. There is nobody on this planet that is more vulnerable and more honest and more real than an artist. Whether you like them or not, whether you think they look crazy or not, all artists are a little bit crazy because sitting in dark, hellish realms of guilt, shame, grief, and fear, will make you crazy. It's important, I think, to move yourself up and out of that. And as well as for me as a singer, it was very important that I started singing more positive songs as well as negative songs, stuff that was uplifting as well as stuff that made me and the audience cry. So, tapping into all of your emotions is scary, but it's a part of the human existence. And I find that people really get into trouble in life when they're afraid to feel their emotions. Essentially, they block themselves off. One of my friends said to me the other day, he's like, I'm feeling so anxious. I have so much anxiety. And all I said to him was, just embrace it. Like, don't resist it. Stop pushing it away. Just sit in the anxiety, like totally and completely fall into it. And he's like, I know. He's like, resisting it is making it worse. It's creating a bigger feeling of anxiety. And I think that's so true. So music for me has always been really, really healing. It was healing because it was my place to be totally raw, totally authentic, totally honest. If I wanted to be crazy or loud or, disheveled or messy, I could. And there was certain types of music that would work for that. And if I wanted to be celestial and angelic and lovely and beautiful and positive, I could. So, but I feel it's important that artists, there has to be a space where, music should be healing. And you'll find, like I said, at different states of consciousness, you'll want to write, sing, perform different types of music. But no matter how successful a person becomes as a musician, what is it worth if they're not happy? I think it's important from a spiritual perspective to remember that we all come from love and we're going back there. People have their own journey and their own timing. And some people stay in hellish realms a lot longer than others. But it hurts my spirit to see, like, sometimes, like with artists, like they're so good at tapping into all that raw emotion, which is so beautiful. It really goes to show how so many beautiful things can be birthed from darkness even. That even your enemies can strangely serve you, and the darkest times of your life strangely build you up in a beautiful way. But that is the advice I would give to performers and creatives, is that it's great to go there, and it's great, to access all those emotions. You're superhuman in a sense if you do, because so many people resist their emotions. So many people are afraid to just be upset, right? Just to be angry and rageful and jealous, like just to sit in that and just feel it. Like so many people like suppress it and repress it and, blame it on other people and push it out into their world in a way that they don't have to take responsibility for how they really feel. It's for another video, but with the concept of like the world is a mirror, everyone is you pushed out, like the world is an external reflection of your internal you. So I feel like one of the things that happens with artists a lot is they get trapped in those hellish realms. In their beautiful pursuit of authenticity, vulnerability, and honesty, and like self-expression, you can get lost in it. And that's not all there is to life. And it's important to move yourself up. Well, it happens organically into higher states of vibration, higher states of consciousness. Like I said, moving yourself up into spaces of anger, righteous anger, right? Righteous anger, pride, courage, and then up into heavenly realms of being reasonable and willing and flowing and allowing and accepting and trusting. All the good stuff, that's not true, because the good stuff happens everywhere. But it's just a beautiful place to be in more heavenly realms. And so the way that you can do that as an artist is to purposefully create, perform, sing, and write stuff that also uplifts your soul. You know, your words are really powerful. Words don't come back void. You know, words are powerful. They impact you. They impact people around you. They impact how you feel. Making a conscious effort to also write from and create from a space of joy, and maybe trying to balance all of that out and allowing yourself to learn to detach a little bit from your emotions so that you can feel all of your emotions and be that really like multifaceted, super interesting, super dynamic human that, you know, is connected to all of him and herself. But at the same time, you sort of take a step back, and I describe it for myself as there's a quiet, still happiness within me that no matter how I feel, what I'm going through, whatever state of consciousness I happen to be in that moment, I always ask God for that. Like, God, please give me just this quiet, still happiness within. Help me to connect to my inner love, peace, and joy always. No matter what I'm feeling, no matter what I'm performing, singing, expressing, creating. And it has been so for me. It's one of those things where I can have a bad day or feel really dark inside and, you know, find myself listening to a lot of dark stuff, and it's all cathartic. It's all good. There's nothing to be afraid of. We don't need to be afraid of dark emotions. We don't even need to be afraid of hell itself. Because it's not where we came from. It's not where we're staying. It's just a part of the human experience to have contrast and to be able to, you know, feel different things and to really be able to appreciate the love, peace, and joy that we come from. To be able to really know heavenly realms and a heavenly state of consciousness is, you know, sometimes to experience the opposite, to really appreciate and know the good stuff. But I just would recommend that. With my voice students, eventually what I did was I made sure that all of the warm-up exercises we were doing, sometimes we would do like music meditations together and things like that. I make sure that when I'm doing stuff like that with students that I started consciously picking music with lyrics and words that I knew were going to pull them into a more loving, peaceful, joyful state of consciousness. I started being very purposeful and careful about what was happening so that they could start to tap into those more heavenly realms themselves. Because I found a lot of artists that have come to me over the years for coaching and for help it was pretty common. A lot of them struggled with depression and, you know, different types of just not feeling good, you know, and struggling, and a lot of it was healed and was solved by being conscious and careful and purposeful to focus the mind and our being on more heavenly realm stuff as well. So it's all good. There's nothing to be afraid of. You shouldn't be afraid of your emotions. People that don't connect to all of their emotions are one-dimensional and kind of boring and remain somewhat immature. It's a really beautiful thing. It's a beautiful human is a human that is in touch with their emotions, allows themselves to feel. If they're feeling anger and grief, to feel it, you know, and to not be judgmental about it, and to learn how to not, like I said, to have sort of this strange, unexplainable, quiet and still happiness within. No matter what, a little bit of a detachment. But anyway, I just thought I'd share this, and I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Much love. Bye.